Okay, hello everyone. Today what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be talking about this again, but we're going to be taking a break from Sidney Farber and his fantastical how do you say them? His radical experiments on cancer and go a bit deeper in cancer. Well, in ancient times, cancer has been encountered in multiple forms. The Egyptian physician Imhotep actually tried treating cancer, but nothing worked. So, in his writings, he says the treatment is that it cannot be cured. Just that simple sentence. Nothing more beyond that. And then later down the line, Hippocrates, the father of medicine, tried his hand on trying to treat cancer too. The result is that he produced a similar result to Imhotep, saying that it's better if it's left untreated because patients live longer that way. Obviously, it's not the case. And then, about 5 centuries later, this physician known as Claudius Galen was found an explanation for cancer. Because he thought of some sort of diseases as differences in bile or some sort of liquid that runs through men. Like red bile, aka blood, it runs through. Yellow bile, or is what we usually think of bile, is in our livers. White bile for the lymph nodes, and then there's this mysterious black bile, which he says is the cause of cancer. And he's saying that the human body is like a really, really heavy sponge that needs to be squeezed, and that he says that we need to squeeze. He says that in theory we need to squeeze our bodies to purge this black bile out of our body so that, well, we don't have cancer anymore. And note, this is before bloodletting happened and all that stuff. So, obviously, we all know it did not work. But it stayed there for a very long time because it was the only plausible explanation to what cancer is. And many people believed it for many years. Until one day, around the 1800s, a University of Paris, a college student known as Andreas vesalius went to the University of Paris, expecting to start a career as a doctor specializing in Galen physiology and anatomy. Unfortunately, the classes were preposterous. Not really great. Teaching quality was bad, and if you were a current medical student nowadays, you will probably be baffled of how bad they taught it. The cadavers they used is they're half rotting away. Dogs are eating into it, and they are pretty much useless. Not all the organs are there, and they don't really have an anatomy map. So all the patients have to do is, the surgeons have to do is just hack away at every single part of the body and figure out stuff by themselves. Disappointed that Monsieur Versailles decides go on a grave robbing trip. More specifically, rob the corpses of prisoners that are left dangling. Well, after their executions and so. And thus he used them in his dissections, and they became his cadavers. And thus he started to build a more detailed map. Well, more specifically, a more detailed anatomy of the body. And he started looking everywhere. The blood is obviously where it should be. The yellow bile is in the liver. The white bile, which is water and so, is in the lymph nodes and so. But what about the black bile? Does he find any black bile anyway? The answer will be no. Because to be really honest with you, have any of you until this point now heard of black bile? I think most of you would say no. I mean, even those that study history a bit, I think you would know about it, but have you actually seen it? Even those that study history or actually try to look into it will say no, because black bile does not exist. It's just imaginary, because Galen said it's invisible. It simply doesn't exist. Now going back, Versailles was crushed by this truth because he really believed in Galen's physiology, and so he went to college to save Galen's theories. Instead, he just quietly buried them. Boo-hoo, Lord Galen. And then next we have, not too far later, the student named Braille or something. Not really. Yeah. That's probably Braille or something. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he was observing Versailles' anatomies whenever he showed them to his colleagues and so. And he came to the same conclusion that there's no such thing as black bile. So now that they have disproved Galen's theory, it just quickly went up in thin air, never to return. And along with that came with a bunch of new discoveries on how to treat cancer. A cousin of Braille, Dr. William Hunter, he was able to treat some people with breast cancer with just taking out the tumor, and they were fine. But they died shortly afterwards because they were because their wound was infected. And Hunter was wondering, even if I remove their tumors, why do they keep on dying due to infection anyway? How do they get infected? And then something unrelated helped solve the mystery. Louis Pasteur, you may know him because of pasteurization and so, that was used in everyday stuff, was experimenting with two separate meats. A meat that was left out in the open, and a meat that was placed in a vacuum-like case. The meat left out in the open just rotted and was being bit away by maggots and all sorts of that. And thanks to microbes and so, the meat that was in the vacuum-sealed case was not affected by anything. It was still good. So what Dr. Hunter can make the connection to that is that if the wound can be covered and not exposed to the air, where all the microbes and so will be, then he can possibly save the patient from infection. First, but it has to be superficial. It has to be on the surface. So the question is, what is something that you can safely place on your skin and kill every single organism that is on it, and suffice to say, clean it? That would be an antiseptic. the first of its kind. It's been used to cover the open wound after it's done, and then remove all the microbes and all that got in the first place, and then the patient survives for about 3 years or more. So, but still, it's still a dramatic success for most. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, but anesthesia was also invented during this time, so surgeries were not really as dangerous as they were previously. And that I conclude my reading.
So, I have some question then.
Hmm?
You say, what is anesthesia exactly?
Anesthesia?
Yeah.
Oh, anesthesia is effectively a gas or some sort of chemical that puts one patient to sleep and make them not feel anything whilst the surgeon is operating. So effectively, the guy who is testing anesthesia asks his test patient to take a few whiffs of it, and then he droop down to sleep, and then they operate on a tumor on his neck with a largely deformed bloodstream, and then as soon as he finished, he woke up and he said, "I didn't feel any pain during the operation, even though I knew it was happening."
So anesthesia doesn't okay. There's local or not local?
But anesthesia is actually Greek, to be from, away from one's body. So basically, the sense of pain is away from their body, so they don't really need to feel how painful is it. Unlike earlier, before anesthesia was invented, in which surgery was a pretty dangerous process. People will be screaming in pain all the time. They have to put lever restraints on them so that they don't move around too much due to all that excessive pain.
And antiseptic, what was it useful also for cancer? Antiseptic, or just for the people open wounds?
Oh yes, it was pretty useful for cancer, right after they removed the tumor and so.
Oh, okay. Then people got infected, and sometime they were impacted.
Yeah, you have to make sure the patient is not infected so that they still live, even though you already removed the main cause of whatever problems they have.
Okay. So did you enjoy it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was the best part of this chapter for you?
Proving Galen was wrong.
Okay. Who was Galen? I mean, I heard
Claudius Galen.
Okay. He was a physiologist, would you say?
Oh, he was a Greek physician like Hippocrates, but he lived 5 centuries later, during the time of the Romans, actually.
Okay. So you don't like that much, Galen?
Because to put it plainly, and forgive me for slightly swearing this, Black Bile is a thing that is not, practical nowadays.
Okay, but Black Bile was tumors?
Well, it was his original explanation for cancers, tumors, and so, but in the end, Black Bile never really existed.
So
It's just a colorful idea.
He never saw he never saw it?
He never saw it. He believed it was there, and he believed it was invisible, but it actually never really existed. Because is there really such thing as an invisible fluid?
Okay.
No.
Thank you.